What is going on, members of the Shy Guy Squad? My name is Dan, otherwise known as Danekii, and welcome everyone to the GBA D-League Draft Analysis, featuring none other than Gigalith, the pebble in the background. I'm sorry, that's just something I'm going to have to work with for now, and I really do feel bad about it. But with that being said, though, we got accepted into the GBA, which is absolutely phenomenal. I can't believe that we managed to do it, so that's something I'm really grateful for. And we had our draft on the 26th over on Crimson Seabad's channel, Twitch channel that is. So hopefully a lot of you guys came out to see that, but I'm just going to go over my draft picks, why I picked them up, just in general what some of my mons are capable of, and, you know, just explain some things, because draft analysis, very original content. You know, I wanted to do something a little bit original with it, but honestly, with how much time it takes for me to edit it, it would take me such a long time, and I don't know if it would have turned out to be worth it enough. But with that being said, we got second overall pick in the draft. Now, in this draft, I was guaranteed to get something that was broken, because Mega Kangaskhan's allowed and Magearna's allowed. So one or the other was getting to me, and I was really happy with that. Now, fun fact is, both almost got to me. I'll explain that later as we get into the draft, but that's my phone in the background, which will be going. But yeah, my first overall pick after a minute in, or almost 2 minutes into this, is Lady Nikki the Magearna. I got Magearna as the second overall pick, as Randy, coach of the Texas Rangers, which is still the best team name in this entire league. He picked up Tapu Koko pick 1, and he's been getting a lot of critique for it, but I mean, you draft what you want. So, I mean, Tapu Koko, yeah, I mean, if you want to use a Pokemon like Magearna and whatnot, go for it. If you want to use something more fun like Tapu Koko, go right ahead. Like, no point in judging. But I'm really grateful, at least, because I ended up with Magearna, something I've been wanting to try, because, you know, it gets banned, and I'm like, why does it get banned? I want to try it. Now, the thing about Magearna that makes it so solid, Steel Fairy is an incredible both defensive and offensive typing. It's only weak to ground and fire, which is really solid, and I feel like I can easily work around those weaknesses. Base 80 HP, 95 attack. 95 attack is usable, especially with shift gear. 115 in each defense and 130 special attack. Now, Magearna has this really cool ability known as Soul Heart, which makes it really scary for my opponents to keep fodder. Because if Magearna comes in and they're like, okay, I want to keep this thing, so I'm just going to sack my fodder. Now Magearna's +1. What are you going to do about it? So it's really solid. It has a really wide move pool, which is solid. Like, it gets access to physical and special fighting type moves, stab, energy ball. It gets even Explosion, which is funny. I'm probably never going to use that, but who knows. Its signature move, Flare Cannon, which is basically, like, Flare Cannon is basically a fairy type Draco Meteor, but of course it usually kills whatever it hits, so you know, that's usually, like, it usually kills something, so you basically go back up to -1, but it's still pretty solid. It gets Shadow Ball, Ice Beam, a Volt Switch, it gets Bolt Beam, which is really solid. It's a fantastic Trick Room setter, it's a fantastic shift gear abuser. Its speed tier, for being 65, is just perfect with the setup moves it has access to, because, like, shift gear is +2 speed, which is so good, and then you have Trick Room, where it's like, it's slow enough to use Trick Room well. Not like the base 80s, that's when it's too fast, but like base 65 is a usable Trick Room stat, so I'm really happy with Magearna. It's such a strong Pokemon, and I'm really excited to test it out and give this bad a wham and a spin. Now, of course, me getting back my pick is going to take some time. And what I mean, I almost got Mega Kangaskhan this round, but Jolt of the Token Minorities, coach of the Toronto Staraptors, one of the many Toronto Staraptors, I think he might have been the first one though, but he picked up Mega Kangaskhan. He was 2 picks ahead of me. Yes, Jolt was 2 picks ahead of me. He picked up Mew round 1, and it came back to him, and I don't think he paid attention to it because he was looking at Mega Diancie, but somebody told him, like, hey, you don't want Magearna Mega Kangaskhan on one team, that doesn't sound like fun. And he agreed, so he picked it up, and that was very unfortunate. But that's besides the point. We'll get to our Mega later down the line, because it took me some time to pick it up then. I knew what I wanted, but I didn't want to get it too early. So my second pickup is going to be Gaia, Elemental Hero Gaia, the Garchomp. Garchomp completes my Fairy Dragon Steel Core. Everybody knows what Garchomp does. It's a very solid Dragon type in the format. Massive threat with a huge move pool. Also access to rocks. Can be defensive and offensive, so it shares it has a lot of cool possibilities I can do with it. And, you know, I don't know, I don't feel like I have too much to say about Garchomp. It's got a massive move pool that I can utilize well. It's got rough skin, of course, it's a great switch in to physical attackers. It can be a bulky answer to some, you know, physical threats, which I feel like I can utilize well. But yeah, that's Garchomp. It also resists fire, which Magearna is weak to, so that's pretty good. Speaking of another thing Magearna is weak to, that's ground. And what resists ground really well in this game? Well, some might call it a little bit overrated, and I might agree a little bit, but I still wanted it. Tangrowth. Tangrowth might be weak to fire, but it sure as hell resists ground. So Magearna's weaknesses are being covered in 2 Pokemon, so that's kind of nice at least. Tangrowth has Regenerator, which is also really solid. Switching out gives me health, so that's always dope. It's a very, very prevalent Assault Vest user due to the fact that its status moves aren't the greatest. I mean, Sleep Powder is always nice, but that's usually the only one that it uses. Its move pool is it's a bit shallow, but it's still very usable, like Knock Off, Focus Blast, Earthquake, Energy Ball. It gets access to some cool stuff, and I'm not going to mention everything, of course, because I'm expecting my other co-coaches or my fellow coaches in the GBA League to watch this. I'm not going to give away everything, but I'm looking forward to see what I can do with Tangrowth. It's a solid, bulky grass type. It's an okay it's a very solid 1000 arrow switch-in and an okay Zygarde switch-in. I personally prefer Shaman when it comes to Zygarde switch-in in general, but that's just me. But yeah, so that is Tangrowth. I'm sorry about the umming and the I'm just kind of going on the fly instead of like a scripted draft analysis, I suppose. I mean, I don't think anybody does a scripted draft analysis. Sounds dumb. But my next pick, my 4th pick, was my bulky water type being Suicune. So another fire resist is also nice. Suicune, a lot of people have seen what Suicune does. It's a commonly bulky water, but can be ran offensively. It's got a pretty massive move pool. I mean, it is one of the legendary dogs from Gold, Silver, and Crystal, and they were treated pretty well, except for Entei. Give Entei Earthquake, make Entei great again. But no, Suicune gets access to some really, really solid moves. Gets access to Air Slash, got Ice Beam Scald, you know, hidden power is always useful. Can use Iron Head, which is pretty cool. It also gets access to Extreme Speed due to the event that happened in the Zoroark movie. Surf, Shadow Balls, Signal Beam, just some of the cool stuff it can do offensively. When it comes to defensively, you know, it can be like Toxic, Rest Talk, Substitute Protect, the new popular Vincoon set. Just a couple of the things that Suicune can do. And it is really solid with its bulk as well, base 100, 115, 100, 115, 115, and also 85 speed. It's a really nice speed stat for such a bulky Pokemon. So I'm looking forward to see what I can do with Suicune this season. Now, I picked up my first tier 3. Yeah, I believe Magearna was tier 1, Garchomp was tier 1, Tangrowth was tier 2, and so was Suicune. So for the names as well, it's Lady Nikki, the Magearna, as I mentioned, Elemental Hero Gaia, the Garchomp, Elemental Hero Woodsman, the Tangrowth, and Elemental Hero Bubbleman, the Suicune. Now moving on to Elemental Hero Inferno, the Darmanitan. That is my fire type, so that completes my Fire, Water, Grass core. Darmanitan with Sheer Force is such a hard Pokemon to switch into, with access to like Sheer Force, Flare Blitz, Sheer Force, Rock Slide, Sheer Force Zen Headbutt for that matter if I really want to be a bit cheeky. But yeah, Darmanitan gets access to a bunch of strong moves to support its, well, not really a bunch, but it gets access to really strong moves to support its Sheer Force ability, which makes Darmanitan such a pain to switch into. And you know, for the sake of memes, if we ever do bring it, I want to do it at least once this season, is Zen Mode Darmanitan, just, you know, for the giggles, because I feel like Zen Mode Darmanitan could be really, really fun, but alas, we'll see if I can pull it off. But I really look forward to using Darmanitan. It's such an interesting Pokemon I've never had the joy to use, so hopefully I can use it well. But yeah, that is my 5th overall pick, Elemental Hero Inferno, the Darmanitan. Now moving on to round 6, I picked up no, this was actually a while after. I picked up regular Aerodactyl. Regular Aerodactyl gave me a rocker, a second rocker. It gave me a defogger, my only one on this draft, spoiler alert. It gave me access to Tailwind, it gave me access to the base 130 speed tier. Like, it's a really fast, really strong Pokemon with the ability Unnerve, which means that my opponents can't eat them their berries, which is really, really solid because Aerodactyl hits incredibly hard. And the best way to answer Aerodactyl in some situations are resist berries, like Chardy, Shucka, Koba to a certain extent, but with Unnerve they can't use those, so it's like stop that and just be gone. So I'm really happy to have Aerodactyl on board, the quote-unquote Pink Ranger, but nah, it's gonna be my Neospatian Air Hummingbird after it's deceased, I suppose. But yeah, I'm really happy to see Aerodactyl. I feel like there's a lot of like niche things I can do with Aerodactyl that I can work out for my team that will be just overall a really nice and helpful Pokemon for my team. So with that being said, I'm going to pick up my next Pokemon, which is Elemental Hero Ice Edge, the Frostlass. Now this was a pick I know not a lot of people agreed with, but for me, the thing that sold it to me was I got spin blocking. That's the word I was looking for. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit tired, I haven't slept tonight. But yeah, you get spin blocking, it's ice type. Ice types are really strong in the format in terms of like offensive presence. Now of course Frostlass isn't the strongest with base 80 special attack and base 80 attack. I did not know Frostlass shares the same attack stat as special attack stat. The more you know, ladies and gentlemen, the more you know. But yeah, I can also set up Aurora Veil if I ever find an opportunity to set up Hail somehow. I can set up Aurora Veil with Frostlass, that's kind of cool. It's really niche status moves like Destiny Bond, Disable, Will-O-Wisp, can do Willow Hex, Toxic. It's actually triple status, Willow, Toxic, Thunder Wave. Can Taunt, gets access to Spikes. For some reason it gets Sucker Punch, that's pretty cool too, not gonna lie. But yeah, like Frostlass seems to be more than a one-trick pony with a very unique moveset, so let's see how I can figure out how to use Frostlass this season. I feel like having a Spike Stacker as well for a Suicide Lead is really going to pay off with my squad, because I feel like I built it pretty offensively with some defensive defensive answers to things, but it's more so a very offensive team, which I like a lot. And with that, of course, I know that Hazards is going to be a problem, which segues perfectly into my next pickup, which is going to be the Neospatian Black Panther. Even though it's not even black, it is pink, and it is Espeon. I'm picking up Espeon for my round 8. Yes, round 8 pick. The thing about Espeon is Magic Bounce is also really, really nice. Of course, bouncing back the hazards, the status, none of that. And also it gets access to stuff like Calm Mind, Wish. It's a Wish Passer. It's not a bulky one, but it's a Wish Passer. Dazzling Gleam, it gets Fairy Access, it gets all the moves that most evolutions get, you know, all the EV baseline moves. It gets Baton Pass, which is pretty cool. The Baton Pass rule in the GBA states that you can pass anything as long as it's not positive speed. You can pass anything as long as it doesn't include positive speed. So that's something we can play around with. And I feel like I can mess around with Espeon a little bit more, make you show off a little bit more of its, show off a bit more of its possibilities. I feel like it's a little bit like underutilized in draft format, and I want to show off that Espeon is a worthy pickup. It's a solid Pokemon in the format that I feel like I can at least showcase to the best of my ability, and maybe somebody will follow in the footsteps and pick up Espeon a little bit more often in draft format, who knows. But that's kind of like what I'm hoping to achieve at least, and it's a nice Psychic type to add to the roster as well. Now, my next pickup is, I wanted to have Snorlax this round, but Regulator, coach of the Los Angeles Clefable, they sniped me like a round earlier and picked up Snorlax, so that was very unfortunate for me. But what that means is I'm going to pick up something that looks like Snorlax, but isn't quite like Snorlax. Licky Licky is my round 9 pickup. Now the thing about Licky Licky is it's easily one of the best Wish Passers in the game, because it gets access to a very niche ability known as Oblivious, which means that this Pokemon cannot be taunted. And you know, a bulky Pokemon that relies on Wish as its recovery, Wish Protect, not being able to taunt that Pokemon makes that Pokemon incredibly bulky. And especially I can also run stuff like Rest, of course, because bulky Pokemon like this often lead to Toxic, and trying to whittle it down that way. And if I can do like some sort of Toxic, if I can do some sort of Rest shenanigans to work my way around that sort of silly stuff, then that'll be nice. I can also, I also have access to phasing in terms of Dragon Tail, of course. Setup fairies are going to be a bit of an issue, but I feel I have one of the strongest ones that also scare out fairies. So shout out to my Gearner right there. Aqua Tail gets some really cool moves as well that are really solid. Like, you wouldn't expect it, but then again, it's based off of Lickitung, and Gen 1 Pokemon, especially normal types, were treated like royalty. They got all sorts of random moves, and because Licky evolves from Generation 1 Pokemon, it's bound to have some really solid moves in its move pool, which I'm looking forward to use at least, and I hope you guys are excited to see what it is capable of. But yeah, that is going to be Licky. Now, at the time of the draft, I have, I believe I have 0 points left in terms of free points. And of course, I need to get another tier 5, tier 5 Pokemon, because, I mean, I could always try to up my setting to like a tier 3 Mega, but that's like Mega Camerupt and Banette, and they're not really like nice on this team. So what I decided to pick up instead was Mega Absol, the evil hero malicious fiend. Now, I love Absol. Like, I think it looks absolutely beautiful. I think it's incredibly strong, really niche like speed tier. It's really fast, and like, I just love everything that Absol is about once it got its Mega Evolution, and it looks really nice on this team, which is why I'm so excited to use it. Now, it gets also Magic Bounce. It's the second Magic Bounce user, and as they call it on Twitter, the GBA Twitter, during the announcements and stuff, apparently Magic Bounce is basically the same as dabbing on the haters, so you know, you got a little bit of Jake Paul in there too for you guys who like him or whatnot. But Absol has such an incredibly wide move pool for being a dark type. Magic Bounce is also really nice, and it gets access to multiple kinds of setup, and also gets access to Baton Pass. Baton Pass Mega Absol, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be really fun, because that's Absol's way of pivoting. And having pivot on such a strong mon, like that lures in stuff, you stay and you click Baton Pass, you switch into whatever they answer you with, and you're good to go. I really just like Absol, and I'm really excited to use it this season, and I hope you guys are too. Now, my final pick, of course. My final pick for the draft. I couldn't disappoint people. I mean, hello, there's 2 types that actually are lacking on my team that I can like point out right on the bat. I mean, there's also poison and some other things, but 2 types that are pretty essential in drafts, or at least that people go by. Electric type and a ground type. Well, not ground type, but electric type at least. Electric type is a type I'm missing. My electric type isn't exactly fast, and due to the fact I said ground, you should know what it is. It's Elemental Hero Thunder Giant, the Stunfisk. And truth be told, Stunfisk is one of my Z captains, because there's a lot of funny things I can do with Stunfisk. It gets really cool abilities in Static and Sandveil, I suppose. Static is probably its best ability. It's got a really interesting defensive stat spread of 109, 84, 99. That's incredibly bulky. And what this allows me to do, it gives me a 3rd rocker. Pretty sure it's a 3rd one, not a... yeah, 3rd one, just had to confirm for myself. With Garchomp, Aerodactyl, and Stunfisk. So we have 3 rockers. It gives me access to Earth Power and like Scald. Yes, Stunfisk with Scald, the best move in the game. Gets Earthquake, Earth Power, Discharge. It's such a, like, I don't know, like, it doesn't have a lot of good moves, but for being a tier 5, it's a really solid pickup, and I'm really happy with Stunfisk on my team, and I feel like I can do some sick memes when it comes to Z moves and stuff, because I really want to bring Z move Stunfisk a couple times. It can Z Bounce, it can Supersonic Sky Strike, it can finally be the bird it wants to be. I can surf, I can go into a Z, what's it called, Hydro Vortex, I can go into Z Thunder, Gigavolt Havoc, I can Acid Downpour, I can Continental Crush, I can Tectonic Rage, I can Black Hole Eclipse. There's so many options I have when it comes to Z moves for Stunfisk that I'm really looking forward to use. Now, I just want to see if I can use Stunfisk well. I've heard from others as well that it is really good. Some people say it's really bad, but like the most people I talk to, it's really good. So I wanted to try it out. But that is going to be the full squad that we have, from a Gearnet to Stunfisk and everything in between. Hope you guys have enjoyed this quick draft recap of all over the place draft analysis, or whatever you want to call it. I'm a little bit all over the place. If you have enjoyed though, you can hit that like button, be greatly appreciated. And you can hit that subscribe button, you know, because GBA videos are going to be pumping out every week, you know. Sunday, September 3rd, is the first battle that goes up, so against Magic Activator and his Memphis Drizzlies. So hope you guys are excited for that. And then hopefully we're going to go to playoffs. And I mean, the best thing that would happen is we win the whole thing, but that would be pretty solid. I mean, you guys should subscribe and pay attention and see if we can go all the way. But with that being said, I'm not going to hold you up any longer. Thank you all for watching. Have a nice day, and I hope to see all of you guys in the next upload. Bye-bye.